So here at Fuji, we are almost good to go for the first qualifying session for the weekend of the Blancpain GT Series Asia. Welcome to a stunning circuit, and welcome to what promises to be yet another absolutely fantastic round of what has already proved to be a great championship so far this year. And this weekend, we have a record entry. Blancpain GT Series Asia is new this year, and we have 34 cars, which includes, as you look at one of the many GT4 spec Porsche Caymans, more opposition in GT4 is growing all the time, with McLaren represented this weekend. Richard Wee, who we saw with the GT3 spec car, damaged it indeed at the start of the year, now has his GT4 entry that he shares with Mok Weng Sun, and GT4 becoming more and more competitive all the time. Cars racing Mercedes AMG GT3 this weekend. The variety on track, 8 different brands represented, including welcome back BMW with the 2 invitation class FIST Team AAI cars of Yunsan Chen and Shinichi Takagi, but the sister car is going to be one to watch. Jesse Krohn and Sean Walkinshaw, who drives with Takagi in Super GT, but Sean Walkinshaw, experienced racer as well as team owner, of course, got his own Sean Walkinshaw Racing Squad. He makes a welcome appearance in Blancpain GT Series Asia this weekend. The circuit, 16 corners in total. It's a track owned these days by Toyota, and of course famous for the outcome of the 1976 Formula One World Championship. But it's a busy place. It has its own local championships that are part of the programme for this weekend, this very random mix of saloon and GT and single-seater cars. But as far as qualifying is concerned, how many laps can you cram in 15 minutes? The mountain of Fuji has not been seen all week because the weather has not been great here. And even this morning, about 20 miles away, the sun was shining. The closer you got to the circuit, the more foggy and misty and damp it became. There has been a little bit of rain this morning that affected the end of the first activity for the cars of the day. They had 2 free practice sessions yesterday. There's something called official practice that ran this morning, and that was headed by the Hunter Abbott Maximilian Buch Mercedes. So the gun time, if you like, is a 1:41.086. That's what they're all striving to get down to. 77 Porsche, hard at work. That's the car of Frank Yu and Jean-Marc Merlin, and it is going to be for this first session Frank Yu who does the driving duties. That is a car that's already had 3 wins in GT4 this season. Hunter Abbott is at the wheel of 999, and the Gripper Am Racing Team Mercedes, a team reformed really for Blancpain GT Series Asia this year by Tim Sugden, who is at the wheel of 888, and Gripper Am with a very successful start to the year. Tim has perhaps been a bit unlucky, but you can never rule him out as you look there at the blue Audi, which is the Milestone Racing Absolute car, and that is Sun Jingdu and Frankie Cheng, 86, winners of the opening race of the year, Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. Driving duties, Aditya Patel, first part of qualifying, the Indian driver. So it's at the end of this next lap that they're on that we'll start to get an idea of times, but the Audi that won at Sepang at the start of the season looking good here. So far, the absolute best in the first sector done by the number 5 Audi of Marchi Lee, and the absolute best lap time just done by 88 Porsche, Nick Foster, the Australian driver at the wheel of the car being run by the Craft Bamboo Racing Team that he shares with Devon Modell. And there, very sideways down towards first, the first corner, is Nick Foster, the Australian driver, really pushing on. Oh so nearly getting it wrong, but the former karter and Australian Formula 3 racer, champion of Carrera Cup Australia going back 2 seasons, and these days part of the World Endurance Championship for Gulf Racing, certainly proved himself at Le Mans this year, for example, getting crossed up, but he pushes on. He's had a 2nd place at Suzuka and an 8th. He's not done the whole season, but it's good to have Nick Foster in the championship this weekend. He shares with Devon Modell, who has split his time between not only the 88 but the 99 Craft Bamboo Porsche. And Devon Liddell's going to drive, of course, in the second part of qualifying. So that car of Nick Foster, 1 minute 42.7, now bested by another newcomer for the weekend, 777, which is the car guy racing Lamborghini Huracan of Kai Cozzolino, who's on double duty because he's in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo races, and also that car shared by Nuki Yokimoto. So Cozzolino has done the time, 141.864 from Nick Foster, from Hunter Abbott third, and then that changes because up to second has just gone the number 1 Lamborghini of Alberto Di Folco on a 142.511. Nick Foster here, climbing up the hill, blasting his way now up towards the timing line. He's come out of the Panasonic corner, over the line he will go, and does that lap put him back to the top? No, keeps him third fastest. In fact, it was an improvement as... No, timing screen updates. He does go quickest now, a 141.825. So Nick Foster to the top, and he's on the back of Hunter Abbott, who also improved last time, as you might anticipate, as the tyres get up to temperature, on a 142.009. Fastest now goes number 5, Marchi Lee. But are we about to have that change? Because here comes Kai Cozzolino. Now, his last lap was a 141.864. You see what a long pit straight it is as he accelerates up towards the line. And Cozzolino does go fastest, 141.310 now. The bright yellow Lamborghini to the top of the times. And in 15 minutes, you don't get that many laps in here. But Cozzolino then putting himself up onto the tail of the ARN Racing Ferrari, number 28, which has got Hiroaki Nagai at the wheel of it. Nagai gets out of the way. So Cozzolino the fastest from Marchi Lee. Nick Foster fourth fastest, Martin Kodrich, number 66 Lamborghini that he shares with Sandy Stuvik. Fifth is Hunter Abbott. Sixth is Tim Sugden. Seventh is Alberto Di Folco. Eighth fastest now, number 39, which is the Spirit of Race Ferrari of Jiang Xin. And then to round out the top 10, you've got ninth Alex Au in the Audi R8 LMS Cup entered Audi. And then 10th, Aditya Patel, number 86, the car shared with the Malaysian-born Australian Mitch Gilbert. But Cozzolino at the moment looking very good indeed. So the Lamborghini, the car guy racing entered car, blasts downhill. And Cozzolino is about to encounter traffic, which is always going to be an issue around here. It's 4.5 kilometres long, the Fuji Speedway. And first visit of the Blancpain GT Series Asia, each of the 6 events to a different circuit. Double headers at both, all 1-hour races, with mandatory pit stops, and of course, when we get to the race, it becomes more relevant this afternoon. Pit stop penalty times covered for the top 3, and also new season entrants. Very brave effort that by Cozzolino round the outside of the Lamborghini ahead. That was the 66 Martin Kodrich car, and Cozzolino absolutely committed as he dived in towards the Panasonic curve, the 16th and last turn on the lap. So how much has that affected him? Let's see. Cozzolino comes across the line. We've had Marchi Lee go to the top of the times on a 141.267. And then now Cozzolino goes through 141.8, half a second down. So he was affected slightly by the traffic, but it was a hugely committed effort as he comes then out of first. There's the kink at turn 2, and then now up towards the left-hander at turn 3, the Coca-Cola curve. And we've got a GT4 Cayman off the road by the look of it. Car in the wall. So is that going to stop the session? We saw debris on the track. There's a car up against the barrier, and it's one of the Porsches. I've got a horrible feeling that might have been the car of Byron Tong. But let's double check in a moment. 77, no, it's the Frank Yu Jean-Marc Merlin car, I fear, that's gone off the road. This is the one that's fastest. Yes, we do have a red flag as predicted. So you're looking at the Marchi Lee driven Audi 141.267, but qualifying is stopped. The clock will stop as well because of the red flag coming out. So we will reset with 6.5 minutes still to run. And the session stopped with that car needing to be retrieved. As I say, it looks, looking at the back of it, like the 77 Porsche, which has got Frank Yu at the wheel of it. He's lost it coming out of turn 1 and 2, and then has rotated into the barriers. And all of that rather hinders the efforts of 28, who just done the absolute best first sector on that lap. And there's the replay of the Porsche bouncing off the wall. I might be telling you a lie, actually, in saying that it was the Frank Yu car. That could be the TTR Team Sard 11, looking at the livery a bit more closely. So everybody else dives down the pit road. and the session will restart as soon as possible. If it is 11 Porsche that's gone off the road, then it is Terence Say at the wheel. And the medical team want to go and make sure that he's all right before we get back underway. So the session stopped, and we will get going again as soon as possible. Now, it might be that in one or two cases, drivers think, well, with 6 minutes to go, we're not going to achieve that much. We won't go out, we'll get ready for Q2. Indeed, there are drivers getting out of cars. But of course, all this means that the teams get a bit more work time, because when the clock stops, they can do this without losing live time in the session. So the car will need retrieving, and also the medical team will want to make sure the driver is okay, but also the track staff will want to make sure that the barriers haven't had a big battering. Down the pit road there goes 99 Porsche, the Craft Bamboo racing car, Peter Lee at the wheel of it, and he is 13th fastest. And as I was saying earlier on, in the context of Hunter Abbott, a real spread of winners this year. He's had two: Mitch Gilbert, Aditya Patel, Anthony Liu, Davide Rizzo, Marci Lee, Sean Thong, Rino Mastronardi, Rui Aguas, Maxi Buch, Maxi Goetz. They're all the different winners that we've had across 6 different races so far. So it's been a hugely competitive season. In terms of wins by car, well, Mercedes has got 2, thanks to Hunter Abbott winning his 2 races with Maxi Buch and Maxi Goetz, but Audi has been victorious, and so too Ferrari. So everybody makes their way back down the pit lane with this red flag having come out. And at the moment, it's the top 8 drivers, all covered by under a second. So there is 98 being pushed backwards, and that will go into its parking box, the Philip Marr Jackie Young car, and the session will resume as soon as this car is out of harm's way, which, as I say, I'm assuming now, looking at the livery of it, is the number 11 Porsche. So, just to explain the clock stopping, if it's a qualifying session, the clock stops. If it's free practice, then a red flag eats into the track time. But when it's qualifying, the drivers are given the full time allowed. So the clock stops, and we will reset with 6 minutes and 33 seconds to go. You don't have to go back out. It's up to you. There in the background arriving, you can see number 12 McLaren in the GT4 class for this weekend. That's the Clearwater racing car of Richard Wee and Mok Weng Sun. Now, Richard Wee, you might remember, was involved in the incident that had a safety car period at the very start of the first round of the championship back at Sepang. Did a lot of damage to that car. He knocked himself about a bit and put him and Rob Bell out for the rest of the weekend. And we've not seen Richard Wee in this championship since. He did drive at Le Mans, but he's decided to come back into not GT3 but GT4. So he's got this new car, Clearwater Racing, still running it, but it's going to be him and Mok Weng Sun as the GT4 drivers. So it's a shame we don't get to see Rob Bell out on track. There's 999, which is the Hunter Abbott and Maxi Buch Group M Mercedes. Maxi Buch, former Blancpain Endurance Series champion, Blancpain Sprint champion, and one of the gun drivers in GT racing. But this year it's been fascinating in the European Championship to see him paired alongside Franck Pereira, and that certainly kept Maxi Buch honest, as we said. So the recovery work is going on, and everybody else in the pit lane, as I say, gets the opportunity to either go back out again, or depending on how the team feels the session has already gone, get ready, put the new driver in the car for Q2, but you can't go back out if you've changed drivers. So the teams make that call. Looking down the pit lane at the Lamborghinis, which are becoming ever more numerous, the FFF racing team by ACM has got 2 cars, Alberto Di Folco and Aidan Reid, the Australian, share one, with Zhu Junhan and Lin Yu in the other car. Lots of new season entries as well this weekend. GT3 racing becoming more popular in Japan. There is, of course, Super GT, which attracts a goodly entry, but more drivers having a look at this, which is closer to a proper GT car than a silhouette spec, if you like. And it's interesting that a number of drivers and teams from Super GT are here either having a close look or a toe in the water, or now starting to think that they'll come into the remainder of the whole season, which is great to see. So this new championship picking up all the time, and GT racing has been strong in this part of the world for a number of seasons now, but with SRO, the global architect of GT3's success. It's becoming ever more so. And of course, there is the GT World Cup, which SRO looks after at Macau at the end of the season, which is going to be for the pro-only drivers this year. There's Jean-Marc Merlin walking away, the GT4 championship leader. So his car that he shares with Frank Yu. Just looking at GT4, the McLaren is the fastest at the moment, by the way. 28th overall, Richard Wee, from Frank Yu in number 77, second fastest. The order you see on screen with Marchi Lee being the quickest, but by a narrow margin, 43 1/1000ths of a second over Kai Cozzolino. Nick Foster third ahead of Martin Kodrich. Hunter Abbott fifth ahead of Tim Sugden. So you've got the two Mercedes there. Hunter Abbott the best of the Pro-Ams, Marchi Lee the best of the silver combinations on the driver grading. And look further down, 30th is where you find Frank Yu in GT4. But as I say, 34 cars, but now one with early damage, which looks like the Cayman from TTR Team Sard. Terence Tay and Tony Fong, the two drivers of that car. So as soon as the race director is happy, the cars will be released. Marchi Lee, the Hong Kong driver, then is the quickest so far. He's had a win, which came in the first round at Suzuka, and now we have the cars venturing back out again. So although the red flag is still shown, yes, it's now an opportunity for the teams to go to the end of the fast lane, ready for that green flag to be waved. So we're not far off getting the session back underway, and you can see there's a queue of people ready to go, all wanting to be out and try and get some clear track space. So just getting back to Marchi Lee for a moment, the Hong Kong driver, former racer in Europe in the Formula Renault Campus Series, and then raced in French Formula 3. He's raced in the Asian and the Australian Formula 3 championships as well, plus Formula BMW, Formula Renault Carrera Cup Asia, the Asian Supercar Challenge, A1GP, Speed Car, you name it, and a former Audi R8 champion, Marchi Lee, going back to, what, 2012 now, as well as being a Formula BMW Asia champion and experienced peddler is Marchi Lee. And Sean Tong, who drives with him in the Phoenix Run Audi, has raced both in karts, in Clios, Asian Formula Renault, and then had a split season of the Audi TT Cup and GT racing 2 seasons ago. Racing GT Asia, runner-up last year in fact, and also racing in the LMP3 class of Asian Le Mans at the start of this season. So he's another driver doing a lot of mileage in a great variety of cars. So very shortly, the cars are going to be released, the fast lane open. The pit lane is estimated to be open in 3 minutes' time. So the cars have been allowed down the pit road relatively early. Looking at the back there of the Hub Auto Porsche of Zhang Can at the wheel of it, with the orange GT4 sticker on the back. Partly to help with identification, partly to warn quicker drivers what they're approaching. If they see a GT4 sticker, they know what the speed differential is likely to be. The marshals, which have been busy with the brooms and the cement dust, have got the battered Porsche out of the way. And now the circuit is clear, so as soon as they're back on post, then we should be good to go. How many changes of lap time we're going to see is a moot point, but Marchi Lee goes out to preserve his pole position. He has not yet had one by name, but it's going to be interesting to see whether that car does hang on. Phoenix Racing, based in the shadow of the Nordschleifer and Moses team, successful in DTM, parallel team running at Zandvoort this weekend. But Marchi Lee and Sean Tong, the Hong Kong drivers, they're making a good combination here. Second fastest at the moment, the 777 Lamborghini, Kai Cozzolino and Naoki Yokimitsu. Cozzolino having just been out, in fact, not half an hour ago in the Lamborghini qualifying session with the track knowledge and putting that to good use. And then you've got Nick Foster third as there. Another of the Lamborghinis, number 390, goes into the fast lane, but then grinds to a halt. That's the Success racing car of Makio Saito and Yuki Urata. Now, has that got a problem? Not yet made its way down to the end of the pit lane, so that car might be showing some concern. Anyway, we are about 30 seconds, give or take, away from the pit lane opening. And then we'll get this session back underway. You can see the BMW at the end of the pit lane, the M6. great car, and the FIS team AAI, which has been running as effectively an invitation class in the past, they're coming back, which is good to see. With two cars, one of them in fact had a clutch problem yesterday, 91, which was the Jesse Krohn Sean Walkinshaw car, but that is on track this morning, and with Jesse Krohn, or to give him his correct name, Jesse Soaki Konyo, at the wheel of it. The car is 18 fastest, but you get the feeling there's more to come from that. Right, the green flag is waved, the pit lane is open, the session is back underway, and so we are in business once more as Q1 continues. The BMWs head out first of all, but there are one or two you can see very, very keen to get on with this and try and work their way up through the traffic, get themselves some clear track space, and try and go for a quicker time if possible before the end of the session. Including there, look, number 3 Porsche. That's the Naoya Yamano Yuyu Sakamoto car, and that will have at the wheel of it for this element of the qualifying period. Naoya Yamano, who's been a runner-up in Carrera Cup Japan in the past. 37, which is the very distinctive Audi of Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo. They've had a win this year, starting the season off in a Ferrari before changing to Audi. They won with the Ferrari in the second race in Sepang. Anthony Liu does the first stint. He does Q1. Interesting switch from Ferrari to Audi, especially on the back of a race win, but the DBT team feeling it was the right choice. And that car can't rule out when we get to racing later on today. Anthony Liu climbing up the hill then as the session enters its last 5 minutes now. That win apart, it's not been a great season for Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, so they find themselves a long way down, really, 12th in the championship. Their 91 BMW, which is the car of Jesse Krohn, 18th, but onto a flying lap now, so this potentially is where an improvement will come. Sean Walkinshaw will do the second stint in that car, and the FIS Team AAI entry pounds on, clear road ahead. Go through Coca-Cola up towards the 100R. Jesse Krohn then turns through the right-hander, dives downhill. Meantime, number 6 Audi with work to do. This is Alex Au, who is at the moment 12th in the times, pushing on. And 3.5 minutes of the session remain. So it's interesting that so many people have gone back out because improvements are really hard to come by at the moment. BMW then towards turn 16. This is the Panasonic curve. Climb uphill as well, and then accelerate onto the pit straight. Almost running off the road, I thought, for a moment there. Coming up towards nets was the Audi. 39 Ferrari also in a big hurry. This is Jiang Jin. Aditya Patel has just improved in 86 Audi. He's gone up to 8th fastest, so it is possible to improve. That's still the fastest car in the session. Marchi Lee coming across the line. Potentially on for a first pole position here, as he's about to break the timing beam, come through now. That lap is a 1:41.8, so he's about 6/10ths down on his earlier best, but as yet nobody has been able to better that time, although Rino Mastronardi did a very good effort there to go 4th fastest, a winner this year as well. Rino Mastronardi, number 38, the spirit of race Ferrari that he shares with Rui Aguas. There's still time for 2 more laps to be done in this session. pushing on is Marchi Lee, that's for certain. So the Audi, the R8 LMS, another of these turnkey GT3 cars, heading the times by 43 thousandths of a second. It goes to show you how competitive this is for Kai Cozzolino. The other fascination, of course, is to compare the first driver pace with the second, and then you get an idea of which cars are going to be consistent across a full race. Marchi Lee works his way downhill, and one car under investigation is Andrew Harrianto, who drives solo and therefore gets a longer pit stop time of 100 seconds as opposed to 95, but he is deemed or is being looked at for overtaking the Spirit of Race Rino Mastronardi Ferrari during red flag conditions. So at the moment, Andrew Harrianto is 19th, but there could be a penalty coming for him. We'll keep you posted. We'll go to the stewards to have a look at, as number 5, Marchi Lee, comes out of Panasonic, then up towards the timing line here. And he will call in a session. He will take the flag in the pits effectively, because with a minute to go he comes in. He's not going to improve, so what this actually does is give the team more time to prepare the second driver, instead of it all being a big hurry at the very end. Come in early, swap the driver over, and then you've got a bit more time to get ready for Q2. So Marchi Lee comes in, and there's now I was about to say there's another car being investigated for overtaking under a red flag, and it's the pole car. Marchi Lee may not be on pole position after all, because we've just had the message come up that that car as well is under investigation, possibly for overtaking under a red flag, which could give pole to this car, Kai Cozzolino, after all. The man behind the wheel of it then, the Japanese-Italian. We've got stuck in traffic a little bit here. The flag is imminent. We've got just 10 seconds to go as the cars work towards the end of the lap, but with improvements coming lower down, Philip Marr going 22nd. Kai Cozzolino has got stuck here behind the number 6 Audi of Alex Au. The flag is out then, so the session's at an end, and we may have a classification, but we certainly don't have the end of the story. As I say, we've got people being investigated now for red flag infringements. Kai Cozzolino gets through the traffic, but this isn't going to be an improvement. The sectors weren't good enough for that, so Kai Cozzolino is going to be second fastest, but he might be on pole depending on if any penalty goes the way of Marchi Lee. Checker flag out, everybody comes across the timing line, which proudly boasts finish. Tell everybody that the session is at an end, and we've now got 9 minutes before the next part of qualifying gets underway. So different drivers, about the same cars, with the second driver, the co-driver, getting behind the wheel. So at the end of the first element of qualifying then, number 5, Marchi Lee, provisionally the fastest, 1 minute 41.267 from 7.77 Kai Cozzolino. Could end up on pole if there's a penalty heading the way of Marchi Lee. He did a 1:41.310. And then third fastest, 88 Nick Foster's Porsche. Good to have Porsches competing because there aren't enough of them in Europe. 1:41.3. 1:41.157 Nick Foster does right at the very end, forgive me. As the flag came out, Nick Foster goes to the very top. So Nick Foster, 1:41.157 on his last lap, up to the top of the times. So Marchi Lee doesn't get pole come what may, because the Porsche goes fastest, and Nick Foster, right at the very end, banged in the best lap of the session. So that's fascinating to see, and also it's going to be interesting now to see how Porsche fares in the hands of Devon Modell, number 88, in the second part of qualifying here. And now the cars make their way back into the pit lane. In some ways, the smart teams bail early to get the next driver on board, but with clear track, he can therefore take pole position. So that's what Craft Bamboo Racing did to keep Nick Foster out and take the pole position time. Right, we've got just 6 minutes before Q2 gets underway. And there you've got the Clearwater McLaren closest to us, with Motwang Sun ready to get on board behind the wheel of that car. Now let's have a look at some of the highlights of Q1, with Hunter Abbott, the championship leader, being first out on track. The Mercedes ending the session 7th fastest, being pursued by the number 6 Audi, which was Alex Au. That only ended up 16th at the end of the session. 34 cars all out on track, and a very busy session indeed. Finding clear track space was important. So too was keeping out of trouble, which not everybody was able to do. Some of those that were released in the body of the field, like Anthony Liu, for example, straight away he was trying to find his way through the traffic and get himself some clear track space, but that was easier said than done. The field pouring out on track, the GT4 contingent set for their own pole position battle, and ultimately the GT4 pole taken by Richard Wee, and there the new Clearwater Racing McLaren. So with this very, very busy field indeed, GT4, GT3 mix of cars, the track not quite full, but many had come pouring out long before the pit lane had emptied. And one of the last cars out was the new for this weekend Lamborghini number 390. But a very brave Kai Cozzolino oh so nearly came a cropper behind Martin Kodrich, diving around the outside of him, as Cozzolino was for the bulk of the session second, ended up third right at the very end. And then we had this off spectacularly for number 11 Porsche, which we are not, I suspect, going to see in the second part of qualifying. Terence Tsay, the man behind the wheel of the car, and the car should be driven by Tony Fong in the second element, but that brought out the red flag and a delay as everybody had to come back to the pits, and the track was made safe and clear, ready for the second element of qualifying. So with a battered car, but thankfully the driver okay. The circuit needed to be cleared of debris, of dirt, and of battered Porsche Cayman. Terence Tay having a look at the damage, both front and rear. So everybody bailed for the pit lane, and then prepared themselves either to go back into battle in Q1 or perhaps to take advantage of the extra time ready for Q2. The green flag released them once more, and we got things back underway with the BMW first out. The FIST Team AAI team back in the championship and running a brace of cars very strongly indeed. So Marchie Lee was quickest before the red flag. He was quickest after it and thought he had it sewn up, and as he bailed for the pit lane and came in early, it looked as though all was good, only for Nick Foster to put himself at the very top of the times right at the very end of the session. So we are here at Fuji, 4 minutes away from Q2 getting underway. Down to the end of the pit lane they come, but clever teams try to release the cars early in clear track space. The other option is to leave it for half a lap, 2/3 of a lap, let everybody go, and then almost be at the head of the queue or be at a lap down and try and get clear track space that way. There's number 2 Lamborghini, which for this second part of the session will have Lin Yu at the wheel of it. So we now reset with, as I say, the other driver. The only car that will have the same man on board is the Lamborghini that Andrea Harrianto drives on his own. If you remember at Sepang, Vincent Wong was injured in an accident early on in the weekend, and Andrea Harrianto has been driving on his own ever since in this championship. He cops an extra 5 seconds in the pits and has to get out of the car as well and be back in it. So a GT3 pit stop is 95 seconds before you get to any penalties for being in the top 3, as there Devon Modell gets ready, the young Brit. A GT3 car is 130 seconds. The difference because a Porsche has 5 wheel studs in a Cayman GT4. The McLaren has just 1. So to try and balance it fairly, if you make a pit stop and have to change tyres between the McLaren and the Porsche, the extra pit stop time is given to the GT4 cars. Does that make sense? It's to try and make it a fair fight, if you like. It's pretty unlikely that you're going to have to change tyres, but it might happen. Right, the fast lane is open. The cars make their way down to the end of the pit lane. Pit in to pit out then for GT3, 95 seconds when you get to the race. And there are 3 drivers, 3 combinations in GT3 that will get extra pit lane penalties. The Hunter Abbott Maxi Book Mercedes gets 10 extra seconds. Martin Kodrich and Sandy Stuvik get 7. and the Jeffrey Lee Alessio Nicariello car, the Audi, gets 5 seconds for being third last time out. And if you're first time in the championship as a race-by-race entrant, then you get 7 seconds anyway. So that's the number 3 Porsche, the number 390 Lamborghini that we've been looking at, the number 90 and number 91 BMWs also get 7 extra seconds. Part of that is to stop a one-off entry coming in and clearing up, and rather frustrating the season regulars. And then in GT4 it's the same principle. Top 3 get 10, 7 and 5 seconds. So in other words, 10 seconds for Kyo Chang and Jeremy Wang, 7 seconds for number 10 of Byron Tong and Eric Lowe, and 5 seconds for the now damaged Terence Tse Tony Fong Porsche, and the 7 seconds for the first time McLaren as well. So that car may have the pace, but it's going to have to serve a little bit more time in the pit lane when we get to the first race this afternoon, which promises to be quite a battle. Right, the fast lane is open. We are almost at 12:11, ready to release the cars into qualifying trim. They're going down the end of the pit lane, 66. That's the Martin Kodrich and Sandy Stuvik Lamborghini. Sandy Stuvik, the Thai Norwegian driver at the wheel of this Vincenzo Sospiri run car. And we will have the green lights on and the green flag shown in something like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds time. Do we get a green flag? We do. And the session is live then here at Fuji Speedway, as blasting out on track comes the might of the Volkswagen Audi group, first of all, with the 2 Audis ahead of the Lamborghini. And it's number 5 then that heads the pack out on track. The 2 Phoenix run cars, Audi Hong Kong, Audi R8, LMS Cup being the entrants. Sean Tong drives 5, and Alex Young, the Malaysian, the former Grand Prix racer, drives number 6, which puts itself ahead on the track. The black and red car, there it is, of the very experienced Alex Young, the Malaysian driver, member of the British Racing Drivers Club, and pounding his way then now down through the Coca-Cola curve, climbs uphill. Now works his way up towards the 100R section of the circuit. Ready his way now around the back of the pits, through nets and then up towards Panasonic. So there is the Malaysian driver Alex Young, who is going to start a flying lap then, and will accelerate down towards turn 1. This long pit straight. This is where grunt and go is absolutely vital, and gives you an illustration of which cars have got the horsepower here. So through will come Alex Young then, down towards first. The name of the corner, it's not just turn 1, it is called first. The road drops downhill. Got a sort of double apex section here because you've got the kink at turn 2, and then you go left here into Coca-Cola. This is the 100R that they turn their way through. Loops them all the way around this fast part of the circuit, and then down towards the hairpin, which is turn 6. Getting a bit crossed up there, Sean Tong pressing on in pursuit of Alex Young. Up now through turn 7 and 8. This sequence of kinks more than actual corners, and then that takes you down the short straight towards turns 10 and 11, the Dunlop chicane, effectively, because there's the tight right and then the tight left. Speed builds as you head towards the right at turn 13. That's 13th by name. Short straight down towards nets, which is a double apex right that loops you round the back of the paddock, and then up towards Panasonic, the road climbing up the hill all the time here. So again, it's an important part of the lap not to get wrong, because if you do on this uphill climb, you compromise your effort onto this next section where it's all about momentum and then horsepower. out of Panasonic up towards the line. So Alex Young should offer up the first flying lap. He will go through. We'll see what he does in a moment. The Audis have been looking strong, catching up to the traffic. And a 1:41.269 is what Alex Young offers, and that's 0.02 down on what Marchi Lee's Audi did, and it's a 10th down on the ultimate best of the first session, that of Nick Foster, who did a 1:41.157. So it is Young from Tong, from Aidan Reed going third, and then up to fourth fastest has just gone to Vidi Rizzo, number 37 Audi, with the order changing all the time. Mitch Gilbert going fifth as he comes across the line. Andrew Harrianto was sixth, but now Alessio Picariello has gone fifth fastest, number 7, the Italian driver, in the J-Fly by Absolute Racing Audi R8 LMS. So Alex Young fastest. Now, Alex has had a pole position, which he took at Sepang back at the start of the season on home soil. Can he score another one here? The most poles, Alessio Picariello, so he could be another man to watch in this, fastest at the moment. Number 18 then heads downhill. This the KCMG by Champion Racing, Martin Rump driven Audi. Martin Rump, the Estonian driver. Raced last year in the Audi R8 LMS Cup. Great livery, isn't it? The Champion spark plugs emblazoned on the side. One of the nice things about this championship is you come into a different world and a different culture. And although it's the same cars that you see in GT3 around the globe, the cultural change affects the liveries. So you don't have quite the same look and feel to a grid as you do in Europe, for example. There is this much more exotic paint scheme on a number of the cars. 888 is Jules Shimkowiak. He's taken the car over from Tim Sugden. And Jules Shimkowiak, the very quick Dutch driver, he and Tim have had a fourth as their best thus far this season. That was in the opening race at Sepang. They've been there or thereabouts all year. 18 is being investigated rather, for track limits. Martin Rump, as Mitch Gilbert has just gone second, and up to the top of the times has now gone 28, which is Kota Sasaki in the Ferrari. Interesting that the Ferrari is now starting to show good pace as well. So the times changing and changing and changing. Kota Sasaki, who we've only really seen in one meeting, and he had a 6th at Suzuka. Former Super GT champion in the GT300 class, raced Aston Martins, raced briefly in the European GT4 Championship. He's been a regular over the last few years of the Sepang 12 hours as well. So Sasaki is the quickest. There, number 13 is the Absolute Racing Audi, which has got Frankie Cheng at the wheel of it. Cheng going through 100R at the moment. Down to the hairpin at turn 6. So Sasaki from Picariello. Alex Young is down to 3rd. Mitch Gilbert's 4th. Daryl O'Young up to 5th. And then Sean Tong is currently 6th. We've got a few people being investigated in this session for the track limits, rather than more than we had in the first. There is 28 then. That's the quickest car. Almost understated, isn't it? But Kota Sasaki in the Ferrari that he shares with Hiroaki Nagai. Less experienced driver is Nagai, but he's still quick. And the Ferrari climbing uphill now up towards nets. This is the short straight towards Panasonic. The corner tightens, and then you're onto this long pit straight. Max Weiser has now gone the fastest, number 39, the Spirit of Race Ferrari of Massimiliano Weiser, by a 10th of a second from Alex Young up to 2nd. In fact, Young is just ahead here on the road. Sean Thong is up to 3rd. What about Sasaki on his next lap? Does he go any quicker? He does. A 1:40.834 to put himself back to 3rd fastest. Number 390 Lamborghini here, which has now got Urata at the wheel of the car. Yuki Urata heads towards the midpoint of the lap. That car, one of the late entries for the weekend, along with the car guy Lamborghini. It's great to have them both on the grid. The S-Access car up towards Panasonic, round the outside of 17, which is the Jeremy Wang driven Porsche, which keeps to its line, doesn't get in the way. Where's the next improver going to be? There it is, 999 ahead. Maxi Buch has just gone 6th fastest, so hugely successful GT racer Maximilian Buch. He's already had one victory this year, which came in Thailand at the Buriram circuit. and as a GT3 European champion, as a Blancpain Endurance and a Blancpain Sprint champion, winner of the Spa 24 Hours as well. Maxi Book, very much one of the benchmark drivers. You've got 88 Porsche there, Devon Modell getting caught up a little bit in traffic. Now don't forget, this is the car that's fastest in Q1, but Devon Modell at the moment is only 26th. So his best lap is a 45, and that's a long way off Nick Foster's pace, 1:41.1. Devon Modell, who was in the UK LMP3 Cup last week at Snetterton, which hardly boasts the biggest of entries, but he was in good form in that. We've got Maxi Book, then the man to watch on this lap. Number 999 Mercedes has done 2 absolute bests, and there's a car pulling off the road there. So heading towards 100R, we've lost one of the FFF Racing Team Lamborghinis by the look of it. There's now down towards Dunlop comes 88 Nick Foster. Nick Foster, Devon Modell, forgive me. The Nick Foster Porsche, Devon Modell at the wheel, but Maximilian Book, number 999. There he is, in traffic. Is this going to go against him? 888, Joachim Kowiak also being caught up with the slower cars. So he's Maxi Book across the timing line, not yet. What about Joachim Kowiak? He's been good in the first 2 sectors of the lap as well. So the Mercedes now, both showing good pace. Maxi Book goes 3rd. There he is, number 999. The black and red Mercedes is Book. In the background, Shimkowiak will come through in a moment. And does he go any faster? Let's see. Shimkowiak did not, because he got caught up in traffic, as we saw in the last sector. So he was good at the start of the lap, and then it fizzled out, sadly, because of the slower cars. That's 38, which is now Rui Aguas, the very experienced Portuguese driver. He's been racing for what feels like ever. He used to race in the British Formula Ford Championship. 39. This is the car that's still fastest, though. Max Weiss's Ferrari. He's taken it over in the break from Jiang Jin. And now with 4 minutes to go, Rui Aguas, number 38, the sister car at Spirit of Race, has done the absolute best in the first sector. So number 38 Ferrari, Rui Aguas, becoming the next one to look for. Is he going to be able to go any faster with just 4 more minutes of the session to go? Up the inside of the traffic goes Max Weiser, sorts himself out, wriggles clear of the slower cars, pushes on. Doesn't have the biggest of margins, only a 1/10 of a second between him and the opposition here. Climbing up the hill through nets. That long left-hander. And then the run towards turn 16 at Panasonic. So for this lap, Max Weiser, personal best in sector 1, a little bit down in the middle sector. What can he do at the end of the lap? Let's see. He has in the past been the absolute best in sector 3 as well, and I think he's going to head for the pit lane looking at that. 3 minutes to go. Comes, yes indeed, down the pit road. There through is Alex Young, no faster. Maximilian Book 3rd, and number 5 down to 5th now, Sean Tong. So as Alex Young presses on, we've now got Maximilian Book having done the absolute best middle sector. So 2 more minutes on the clock. Alex Young pushes on. Maximilian Book goes 2nd, 96 thousandths behind Max Weiser, who is in the pit lane. So almost but not quite for Maxi Book. oh so nearly at the top of the times. Here is Alex Young, who is trying, but I can't see this lap coming for him, I'm afraid to say, because he's down in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. So try as he might, it's not quite going to work out for him. His number 2 Lamborghini tries to get into the mix as well, but this is a long way down, this car. It is only 26th fastest with Lin Yu at the wheel. The Aston Martin is back as well. We've not yet touched on that car, but it's good to have it back in the championship. Number 69, the Eurasia car, the CMRT Eurasia car. This is Kenneth Lim at the wheel of it. The Aston Martin Vantage, the type of car that's had good success in British GT this year. Aston Martin, of course, class winners at Le Mans in GT spec. So Kenneth Lim pushing on. Into the final few seconds then of the session. Up towards Panasonic, Cam's number 69, the Aston Martin 24th at the moment. Up the road ahead, just had the BMW of Takagi go up to 23rd, and to the timing line will now come the number 69 Aston. It's been pushed down to 25th, and it stays 25th. Kenneth Lim doesn't go any quicker. 12 seconds on the clock, quite a few bailing for the pit lane. The first race for Blancpain GT Series Asia at the Fuji Speedway comes this afternoon at around about 3:30 local time. And let's have a quick look at the times then. The top 10, Max Weiser the fastest, 1 minute 40.585 being the time. From Maximilian Buch second, the gap 96 1/1000ths between them. Third, Alex Young in the Audi. Fourth fastest was in 28. At the very end, the Kota Sasaki Ferrari. Fifth fastest, Sean Tong. And then sixth, Alessio Picariello in his Audi. So an intriguing qualifying session. And as I say, we will be getting the race underway at 3:30 local time, so join us for that if you can. For now, though, from David Addison at Fuji, it's goodbye, and we'll see you for race 1 a little bit later in the day.